Alright, and just like that, we've started, because God forbid anyone be professional or awake on a Tuesday night. Hello everybody, we're gonna jump into this live. Claire, thanks so much for dealing with me. I feel like I've just been like a nagging mom to you like all day or week on Twitter, so thank you once again for coming on and not just pushing me off to like saying fuck off and come back another time.
It'd be like that sometimes. I didn't realize my Tuesday was going to be so chaotic. And if I would have known they told me to go pick up my cat like so much like later in the evening, I would have just said like when you messaged me the first time, I would have been like, yeah, let's just do it real fast and not like, oh, fuck all at the end of clock in the evening. Sorry, I'm tired. I've been up since 6:30. I'm tired.
Hey man, it's like just to like show like how time has no meaning at all now. Like literally, I started this with the plan of watching like an hour of the Snyder Cut as a joke, and then like being like I was telling my wife like, oh, we'll finish it when I'm done. And literally in that time that we've just done nothing but wait, like we could have finished the 4.5 hour fucking movie, but neither of us are like, no, we're good, we're good. All right, but let's get into this actually, because God forbid I not have a clean opening. So, how's it going, everybody, and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network Link 210 Live. I'm your host, Spencer Presley, and joining me is my special guest for the week, Claire. Claire, how are you doing tonight? I need to just like get clarification. Was that a yawn? Because I could have just imagined that just being like a scream of emotion.
That was just me stretching.
Okay, all right. Well, like I not to be Mr. Nitpicky immediately into the show. Isn't a yawn and a stretch basically like the same noise?
I wouldn't say so.
Okay. We'll get into that much later. That's clearly going to be the topic of the week. But for people out there who might not know you or your stretching noises from Twitch and Twitter and whatnot, who are you? What do you know about this franchise? And what do you want people to know about you? All that fun stuff.
I'm Claire. I just hang out. I do most of my content on Twitch for the most part. Like I just started posting to YouTube. Like. I'm gonna say the soft opening. No, I wouldn't even say soft opening. I started doing it, like, actually. Oh, I need to double check. I need to fact check myself because I don't. It was like 4 or 5 months ago is when I started posting on YouTube. I was primarily just on Twitch.
I was gonna say I was trying to find you on YouTube if you were there. What name are you under there?
It's just Claire. If you like type in like SgtClaireBear or like Claire SMT, it should pull it up. It should.
YouTube SEO did not like your Twitter Sergeant, but I also could have actually spelled out Sergeant. That might have made the difference.
Yeah, it might have.
It'll be in the show notes, though. People will be able to find you eventually for that. Okay, so no, that's good to know, because yeah, everything I pretty much known from you was basically Twitter, of you like having people on, and mostly like for your Twitch streaming and stuff. How long have you been streaming on Twitch, kind of in the setup you're doing now?
About 2 years. Over a little over 2 years, just like a year, 2 years and 1 month. I've been doing Twitch.
And if you like had to give like the quick Twitter sized like kind of like pitch for your like Twitch streams, like how would you like describe like what your streaming is like?
Oh, I'm a giant bitch, like 100%. Like I'm mean. I am very. I'm nice, but I am also very mean.
I like that you immediately like say like that, like, oh, I'm gonna be really like mean or whatever, and like the clips that I've seen from like the past couple of streams you've done have basically just been like you degrading yourself or like putting yourself through like bean torture and stuff through like, so just like the little bit of context I have, I'm like I'm already like kind of like I kind of get it, but it's also like it's definitely your, at least from like the archives, your streams definitely have like a very like kind of homey feeling. It's not like necessarily like a homey like, oh, this is a warm safe spot to be in, but it's like it's a very like chill group of regulars.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't. Yeah, I would say that. You must have missed the stream where I screamed about how bad Strikers was for about 10 minutes about one plot point because I don't want to get into spoilers.
Well, I'm really glad you're here because we had an exclusive announcement for you that you're now going to just be focusedly only playing Strikers and going to be getting every platinum trophy version equivalent in all regions.
Nope. 100% no.
Okay. Not
That game made me physically ill.
so. I actually really want to get into that, but like one of the funny before we get into that, just so as I was like getting people's history. So like for Atlus, SMT, and like Persona and stuff, like how did you get into this? Like what was your like starting off point?
Persona 3. That was my starting.
Just like OG PS2 Persona 3?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, not OT, FES, or FES, or whatever the kids call it nowadays.
The kids don't even play it, let me tell you. It's like pulling teeth to get these kids to talk about Persona 3 these days.
I mean, that's fair. I am with Persona 3 forgiver, Claire SMT, Claire Sergeant ClaireBear. I'm just here.
That's
I love
like
Persona 3.
that's like having someone tell me, "Oh, I'm a Final Fantasy VII fan." You don't find a lot of us out there. Like all jokes aside, like the amount of people I know who like hold P3 in like the same regard, like people who hold like FF7 in high regard. It's like one of those things of
FF7's terrible. You know what the best Final Fantasy is? Final Fantasy 13 trilogy.
okay.
You heard it here first.
I knew I was
That's
gonna
the Final
I
Fantasy
knew
game,
I was
hands
gonna
down.
get along with you. This is a safe space. I am a big advocate of the 13 trilogy. Those games somehow get better with like each release, and I'm like a weirdo who like unironically loves 13-2, like straight up one of the best villains in the entire series.
13 is really good.
And like Lightning Returns is just so bonkers weird. Like
I love that game. It's so good.
not like even like humble brag. This was just one of those weird things. If I was covering Final Fantasy for a fan site at the time, and Square flew a bunch of fan sites out to preview that game before it got announced. And when like the director and like producer were there, just like showing us like a hands-off version of the demo, it like I legit like had to stop halfway through and just be like, okay, for real, this is just like Majora's Mask. Like this is just like Majora's Mask, right? And you're like, yeah, but like we can't really like call it Majora's Mask. And it was so funny of like having that reveal, because like at the time 13-2 was already a weird thing to get a sequel to, but then you would think, okay, if you're gonna finish the series, it's clearly just gonna be like another one of these. But like, man, that series just never ever gets enough love. But hold on, if you're such a big 13 fan, then I have to ask, how do you feel, not getting into like spoilers, but how did you feel about 7 Remake, because that was by the 13 team?
It was all right. I like the combat. I can just say that. Like, like I did beat it. Like I do admit, when I first picked it up, it was during the 24-hour streams when I first played it, because I do this thing where I wait a couple of months after the game launches so I can like stream it properly. Except for like the only case this was like probably like Strikers and Royal, and I totally forgot where I was going with the train of thought.
Talking about 7 Remake and a 24-hour stream.
Oh yes. So when I played it, I actually couldn't put it down after 10 hours of playing it. I didn't realize it was 10 hours. It was a lot of fun. I can definitely say the story is Tetsuya Nomura shouldn't touch stuff at all. I think he needs to be put into a nursing home. He is
I love when people like throw him under the bus, because like the thing that like, and I'm like a huge Nomura like advocate in the sense of it, but like what I always find funny is like he barely touched to the story from like all the stuff that came out for it. Like, yeah, he had like creative decisions, but a lot of that story was like from Katase and stuff. And, like the original like writers and like people who worked on 7 were like, nah, dude, let's make it. Like, obviously it's very like kind of Nomura-esque in like the sense of how he like does other games like Kingdom Hearts and stuff. But I find it so funny of like people will be like, oh, Nomura made 7 weird. It's like, nah, dude, it's all the 7 staff. The 7 staff were all weird. Like, it's not just Nomura.
That's fair. I don't know. I think just Nomura was the creative director for it, and they just go for ideas, and they're just like, okay, he says this, okay, do it.
That's why, like, I'm so excited, because, like, he was one of, like, there were literally, like, 3 co-directors on that game, at least for part 1, and what I found is, like, what I can't wait for is, now that they've said Nomura's not directing the rest of the 7 games, he's just basically going to be, like, a supervisor or producer, I think it's just really, really funny of, like, I can't wait for people to then play part 2 and be like, wait, it's still weird, why, like, Nomura didn't direct this, what happened? It'll be like, no, dude, they're just going to see that everyone on that, like, game staff is just, like, super, super crazy.
Yeah, no, Worlds Collide does slap. It's one of the best tracks. It's one of the best tracks in the 13 trilogy.
But
But
I appreciate you thinking like that, like saying like advocating love for 13. Like it's very very hard, especially for me. Like I'm super big into like the FF games. Like the only ones I ever bag on, I never hear anyone bag about. Of like literally, I'll make fun of Final Fantasy 3 all day, but almost every other Final Fantasy game I can find something to love about.
that's fair. That's fair.
But also, people don't respect my opinion because I also think things like World of Final Fantasy are unironically amazing, and I like never hear people talk about that game.
Yikes.
Did you yikes World of Final Fantasy?
Yikes.
Oh my god, we can't get into that because this started with Persona 3. I don't know how we went from 3 to 13, but either way, I don't know what would be an easier or quicker answer for you, but I'll let you pick. Which games have you played from the like SMT and like Persona series, or also what is like at the top of your oh my god, how have I not played this like backlog pile of shame?
I gotta say, I'm playing through Revelations Persona right now. I played every single Persona game except for Eternal Punishment because I need to finish Revelations Persona before I play Eternal Punishment. I played a lot of SMT games. There's still a handful I haven't touched yet, like the Majin Tensei series. I gotta say my favorite overall, the one that was like, why didn't I play this sooner, was definitely Digital Devil Saga. And yeah, no, Digital Devil Saga, I don't know why I slept on that one for so long. That game was fantastic. That game was perfect. I'm actually in the middle of working on a video for Digital Devil Saga because that is basically my favorite SMT game.
It's really really great. It's one of those ones that like there's very little kind of baggage behind it. Like it is still to this day, like it still holds up, and it's such like a timeless thing to kind of recommend. Of like there are very little kind of problems I have with it, and like what's really really nice about it is like it's still not like it's not crazy expensive. You can still download it on the PS3 store if you do want to play it legally. But like
no. I'm gonna stop you right there. Do not buy. I'm gonna tell you this right fucking now. Do not buy the PS3 version of Digital Devil Saga. The shit fucking sucks. Don't buy it.
Now is this coming from experience of you buying it and playing it?
It's desynced audio. It's so bad. Just get the PS2 copy. If you do not have $60 to buy a PS2.
Oh, dude, are they even that much? Like, I feel like a month ago they were like 25 a pop still.
Oh no, I'm talking about PS2s.
No, I know that's what I mean. Like, I feel like literally the only PS2 games that have really gotten expensive are like the Devil Summoner games. I'm gonna look.
Oh no,
on this
I'm talking
right
about like the actual like console itself. You can get the reprints of Digital Devil Saga on Amazon for like $20 right now.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, like even if you get like a hard copy, like thankfully like DDS, like none of those have anything to go into. So have you beaten both 1 and 2 then? Okay.
The only thing I have left to do is beating the final super boss, which sucks.
Well, yeah. Do you have any interest in reading at least the first 2 volumes of Quantum Devil Saga?
Yes, I've been trying to get my hands on physical copies, but I haven't been able to get them, so I'll probably just read them online.
Boy, let me tell you, talking about things that are not cheap, those, especially Volume 1, my lord, those have gotten expensive.
Literally $900 fucking dollars, and I'm like, yeah, it's $900, but you know what I'd rather spend $900 on? Fucking titties.
I mean, it's hard to get an argument against that for it, but yeah, those they are at least worth it. I wouldn't say $900 worth it, but I know the digital versions are still out there like super duper cheap. So, especially if you like the story in there, I'd be really interested to see what you think of QDS, because I actually think QDS, if like in an alternate timeline we ever lived there, I can't believe no one ever went to that author and was like, how have we not made a game out of this? Like that like those 5 books would make like the perfect like successor to DDS.
I still need to read them. I do need to read them.
Other one though, in terms of, hold on. So I'm actually thinking about like, because one of the things you said sort of got with me. So you've played a bit of 1. Innocent Sin, but you're waiting to finish 1 to start Eternal Punishment?
Yes, because my good friend, Filthy Blasphemer, told me, do not play Eternal Punishment because there's going to be a lot of Revelation stuff in Eternal Punishment. So he's like, you need to beat Revelations before you start Eternal Punishment. I'm like, you're not wrong.
That's an interesting one though to go like kind of 2-1-2. I've never heard. I've always known people either kind of like starting with 2 or starting with 1. Never kind of like hopscotching back and forth. That's interesting.
It just be like that sometimes.
Well, super really quick shout out to Peter Parker in the chat. He had a question, and I'd love your opinion on this. How likely do you think it is that the DDS duology gets a HD remaster?
As long as it's not like how Nocturne's been, then I'll be fine with it. If it's like how Nocturne's been, then no, do not port it. Keep the game exactly the same as it is now.
I just like, especially now with like the whole price discussion having been started, I can't wait for either, if they did do both, them having the gall to like charge like 60 or whatever for both, and then be like, so are you saying like not
60 for both? Because $30 for each game, I would pay 60 for both.
Well, like, no, so like the funny thing is then if you charge 60 for both, then that's kind of them admitting that they overcharged with Nocturne.
I mean, I guess that's fair, yeah, but like at the same time, but it just be like that sometimes.
I kind of wanted to like get into that with news, but I mean, this is just like a perfect segue for it. Real quick, where are you on the Nocturne HE? Obviously, like technically wise, like it leaves a lot to be desired, but in terms of like the Western price point, how did you feel about the 5070?
I don't agree with it, like at all. Yeah, I'll probably buy the $70 edition to like get everything, but at the same time, I don't agree with the price.
Oh my god. I don't know, like, how you justify it, like, to yourself. Especially for, like, for me, I, like, literally, I made, like, almost a...
I mean... off of my taxes, that's how I justify it?
I mean, I get... It's just one of those things of, like, man, like, I already am, like... I feel like buying the game day one is already being like, oh, man, like, I'm buying this because I want to talk about it. But at, like, the same point, like, I feel like... jumping into that like $70 thing is just like the whole reason they keep doing this because people keep buying it. And like obviously the Strikers thing was a little bit different because it was a game that people hadn't played before. People were excited for the PC port, blah blah blah. But like I feel like Nocturne has like anti-hype. I feel like outside of people who are just blindly excited to play it again, I don't know people who are like simping for this port with rational reasons.
Sorry, you cut out there. What'd you say?
No, I was like saying like I don't really get like the people who are kind of like defending this port with like rational reasons. Like a lot of the people I see who are kind of defending the price point are like it's one of the best games of all time. They can charge whatever they want, blah blah blah. Or like apparently some people out there who like think like $50 all goes to voice acting or whatever. Of just like one of those things of like people being like no, this is like the best game of all time in my brain. So obviously that means it has to be worth whatever. Which like obviously me complaining about the price doesn't mean hey pay whatever you want and that you're comfortable with. It's the thing that I don't get of like I'm against the price. That's why I'm against the whole digital deluxe edition thing.
That's fair. I don't know. I just kind of buy things like yeah, I don't agree with it, but at the same time like I'm still gonna buy it. It's not like I have a kid or anything to worry about. I'm just like oh yeah, $70. Yeah, I don't agree with this, but I'll buy it.
Did you do the same thing for Strikers?
Yeah, but TBH, I did trade in stuff to my work in order to pay like $10 for it. So I technically paid $10 for Strikers. And
you're still so mad at it. That's like the best part.
Yeah, no, it sucked. Strikers sucked so bad. It made me actually physically ill. The plot dumb. The game's entire game's just cutscenes. The entire game's cutscenes. Like yeah, you guys could honestly skip the story and you would understand the end of the game 100%. It's literally just rehash vanilla P5 stuff, and it's dumb. It's dumb. Bad game. Ooh, I should not get into this right now.
No, I want to get in it because you're actually one of the. I haven't had a lot of like actual post English release discussion with the game, and I actually like to get into it because I'm in a weird sense of like obviously like. And even for the talk, we don't really have to like get into like actual spoilers. But like, so I am about a little over halfway into my English playthrough, but I have beaten the Japanese version. I imported it last year and played the bejesus out of it. So for you, obviously, story is kind of a complaint for that in terms of like how it's sort of been out there. But what I'm curious of like what. For starters, were the things you kind of enjoyed, if any? Like, what are sort of things that stood out to you that way?
I did like the combat, but it's just basically a Muso game. Like I've played
okay.
Of them, so it doesn't really matter.
All right. Immediately, this is just because I'm Mr. like Koei Tecmo like fanboy defender. I have to ask, what Muso games have you played before?
the Dynasty Warriors games.
It's like so not a Muso game in my brain. I'm just like, yes, it's like it's got light attacks, it's got charge attacks, it's got the special button, but like it's so like the way it like does everything for me. It's like, yeah, like the ways you press buttons for combat are kind of different, but like the fact that like there's so few enemies on screen by comparison, like the amount of like horde battles compared to like literally, I feel like any stage of any Dynasty Warriors game probably has more like enemies than an entire jail in Strikers. So it's like one of those things of like,
yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of like if you play this game, it's might as well just play Dynasty Warriors at that point because. Well, the most character I used was Yusuke because it's just basically discount Virgil. And as like I play a lot of Devil May Cry games and Virgil is like the character I play the most, so it's not really anything different. It's more so they could have done something a lot different because it's basically just smash buttons and it's basically playing Persona but not turn-based. You just smash buttons and you win because I never really use debuffs. You don't really have to because everything you ambush an enemy, you preemptive strike them, you all-out attack, they're dead. Like you hear 5 seconds of every song. If you bought the DLC for the music, you only hear 5 seconds of each song. But if you did not buy it, you're just hearing the regular song, whatever it is. I turned it off because I got really tired of it, and you just hear that for 5 seconds. It's not really that good. It's just very I get it. Like hard mode and merciless are completely different beasts. But
yeah, that was my two questions I had from you after hearing that. So I assume your whole playthrough was just normal.
Yeah, whole play. I just wanted to get through the game as fast as I could because as soon as I picked it up and realized like how much stuff you had to do and how annoying it was, I was like, I'm gonna have to play this on normal because if I'm gonna have to sit through all this like dumb dialogue that doesn't need to exist, like yeah, let's go do the thing, but let's go talk about doing the thing and have different dialogue and just not actually do it. No, God, I need to turn off my phone. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. The other question I had from something I've noticed with a lot of people who aren't a fan of Strikers, and I haven't seen enough of like you playing it to actually kind of get a grasp of it. Did you do a lot of character switching, or like when you found your like squad of 4 people, were you pretty much like, okay, there's no point in switching out, I'm just gonna stick with this?
I did switch out. I did switch them out every so often. I mostly just played Yusuke. Like I had my set part before Zenkuchi came into the party. I had my main party was Makoto, Seaman Queen, aka Sophie, Joker, and then Yusuke, but I only use Yusuke.
I don't know what this says about my thoughts of the female cast of that game, or even the male cast, that you said Seaman Queen, and I'm like, I could think at least half the cast would like count.
She looks like a sperm. Like Sophie looks like a sperm. Or she had the string dipped into you, and the rest of it is just white.
Okay.
That's literally has Sophie's design in a nutshell, and you cannot change my mind about it.
I would never even think about it, but so that's really interesting though. Of like the one also like funny thing is like I love that like I still haven't met a single person who has played through this game to completion who's been like, oh yeah, Yusuke is not fun and Zenkichi isn't fun. Like they were like easily like the standouts for me of like the whole, like literally as soon as I unlocked Bloodborne Wolf Daddy, I was like, oh, he's never leaving my party. As long as he can be playable, he is in my party the whole game.
Yeah, like I had him in my party. I hardly used him because I didn't like what he was doing, but it'd be like that sometimes.
Another one I know very, very little for it, and everyone out there listening who might not know as well. So, how would you kind of summarize your feeling before starting Strikers about, like, how did you sort of feel about the cast and world of P5?
I hated it. I hated every absolute second of it. Like, if you go back and, like, see, like, clips and stuff of it, like, originally I was like, oh, yeah, this game's pretty alright. And then now I'm just kind of like, yeah, Persona 5 sucks. And I'm just like, the characters and plot are so... I don't want to repeat things everyone's already said who doesn't like it, but at the same time, it's just kind of, oh, we didn't need a sequel to Persona 5. And the main gripe I have with this game is they made it so lazily, and because they're like, oh, Royal's going to be the new canon, but we're not going to include Royal. So
okay, so like I still to this day cannot get over why do people care which one is the quote unquote canon? Like literally no part of Strikers either bumps up or takes away anything from either one's ending. So like what's the whole point of like talking about which one's which? Also, remember, in a series where literally timeline should just be something we never talk about.
Sorry, repeat that again. My bad.
I was saying, like, why do we, like, I don't get, because I'm always on the side of, like, when it comes to timeline stuff, I'm like, dude, I don't care about any of this. Why do people get, like, so bunched up about, like, why Strikers doesn't specifically either reference Royal or, like, focus on, like, Vanilla's ending? Because, like, literally both endings are, he leaves town and he comes back. Like, there's nothing in Strikers or, like, that, like, kind of takes away or diminishes either ending.
Okay, so why make a new title with a new game, like with new characters, and then make a sequel to the game without the characters in them? That doesn't make any sense.
Literally, like, the only thing with it is just, like, it's just money. Like, literally, because both were being made at the same time.
Exactly.
One had way too much development time, probably, with Strikers, and then one had way... Well, okay, technically both had, like, way too much. Royal took way too long to come out, but that was just because it had a really small team on it, and it was, even Atlus has said, a very low priority for them. And also, Strikers' whole thing was, normally Koei Tecmo would have bumped that out, like, within a year or two, but because of they collaborated so much on it, that's why something that would normally be like a 1.5 year long project became like almost 3 years.
Yeah.
So like, and I mean, like, outside of just like saying, okay, why isn't Kasumi in this or whatever, like, there's literally nothing really from Royal that I wish was kind of like mentioned in Strikers that like I feel like nothing from Royal could have like been hinted at or talked about in Strikers that would have been like, okay, it was worth it now. Because it's like, yeah, it's a sequel, but at the same time, it's like when you watch a anime movie and it's like a quote-unquote sequel, but really it doesn't matter at the end of the day. So it's like, I like that it's a continuation in terms of we know where the cast of characters are at. I think they do a really good job of like, if you like that cast and you like that core theme and that story, you don't have to go through the thing that almost every other spin-off does of, hey, these characters know each other, but we're going to just pretend they don't know what's going on, so that way we have to reintroduce them all over again 8 different times. So, like, that's one of the things I really appreciate about Strikers, but also at the same point, it's like, yeah, it's like also, people have to remember, story for a long time in this series has had very little stakes in terms of continuity.
No, I definitely agree.
Just a quick assumption. I assume absolute zero fucks for you were given on the dancing games, or are you much of a music game fan?
Bad. Well, it's not like I don't suck at rhythm games. I used to play rhythm games, but I can definitely say I did not have fun with the dancing games whatsoever. When I play dancing games or like any sort of rhythm games, I don't blink when the screen's going on, because I don't want to miss something. So when a game doesn't give me a chance to, like, blink my eyes is where I kind of draw the line. Not gonna lie.
I assume you played PS4 then?
Yeah.
That's
I have
like
the entire collection on my PS4.
First off, I'm sorry. Second off, what's really funny about that...
I didn't pay full retail price for that. I paid like $25 for all of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, those games have been uber clearanced in every region for the end of time, and they always will be. But, like, what's so funny about it is... those games were so, like, core for a handheld. Like, the Vita version, like, that HUD works perfect on a 6-inch screen. But the problem is then as soon as you have any TV screen bigger than, like, 30 inches or so, it's immediately, like you said, like, your eyes are either going to have to be hyper-focused on every note, and you're going to have to strain them and look at a lot more attention, or, like, you can just realize, oh, they just didn't really, like, put in the effort to make a PS4 HUD that would have made sense. Like, compare it even to something sort of similar with the Project Diva games. Those have a very thing of, there's a big picture in front of you, but you're watching the note highway kind of move along slowly. You're not looking at all corners all the time. Whereas, like, when something's made for a handheld, it's like literally you're looking in one direction. Like, going from a 6-inch screen to a 60-inch screen, you're basically like playing another game on hard mode, but it's not even hard in a fun way.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Someone in chat did ask what our thoughts are on, or I guess my thoughts on, were P4 Arena and PQ. This is probably gonna, your chat's gonna hate me at the end of this night. I hate Persona 4 with like a burning passion. Like, I hate Persona 4. Persona 4 Arena, terrible game. Persona Q, I did actually enjoy that because it's a little fun. It's a little different. Like, it goes back to, like, more of a dungeon crawling and not more so a traditional Persona game, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on it. Yeah, P4 bad. P4's terrible.
I mean,
your chat's getting mad, and
not
it's funny.
Honestly, not really. Like
So
there are like as many people who can be like, oh my god, how dare you like say anything bad about like P4s or for like almost any game. But like I always enjoy like hearing people's perspectives for that, because like, well, obviously I can like sit there and like pick like positives or negatives about anything. Like it's always fun like kind of like getting people's perspectives that like you just don't normally either think about, or like things that never really come up for you. It's like kind of like going back to Strikers. I had someone literally tell that, like, somebody unironically to my face said, I liked Strikers until it had a fat joke. And I was like, if your whole takeaway from like the third boss was they were making a fat joke and that ruined the experience for the game for you, I'm not gonna say you're wrong, but boy, I gotta say I feel like we were playing two totally different games.
I mean, just the entirety of Strikers was just bad. Like I literally was just like, can I just get past this story? And the joke in our Twitch chat was we would always start timers at how long cutscenes would go for, and it was just wild because it says a 40-hour game. I think I beat the game in like 30 hours, I believe, but most of that was just cutscenes. All of it was just cutscenes. It was just, they should have just been like, oh look, we're gonna make a continuation from the Persona 4 anime. Here you go.
So was this just you kind of wanting to play it as like, okay, this is kind of like the new hotness and there's not a lot of stuff out, or like as someone who wasn't already a fan of kind of like the world and the gameplay and story wasn't doing it for you, like what kind of pushed you to see it through to the end?
I needed to finish it to write my review.
And so are you like talking about like doing like a like edited like kind of like video review, or are you posting this on like a blog or a website, or like where are you putting the review at?
It's gonna go on YouTube. I'm gonna put it on YouTube. It's gonna be a full length. It's gonna be. I aim for my videos to be, at least if I'm doing discussions by myself, I try to aim for about 15 minutes.
Have you done any other videos in the past that kind of be like a good comparison to it?
I would say. I'm really bad at making videos because I just started doing them. I would say I did when the Strikers trailer got leaked, I was up until 6 a.m. doing a video about that, and that would be about it. I would say the only things up on my channel right now are the collabs I've done with other people and like basically like the podcast that I do on stream. So that's basically the only things that are up right now.
Okay, interesting.
I'm currently working through a bunch of other things, so.
If you had to like, would you compare kind of like what you're in your head, like your idea style of like a review, sort of like, is there any other like kind of like people out there who like do sort of similar like video reviews you're kind of going for? Or are you still kind of in that like nebulous sort of like forming it yourself in that stage?
I'm still trying to form it myself. It's more so like I want to do retrospectives of the games that the SMT games I've played, and ones I've enjoyed and ones I haven't. Okay. There's stuff that I just have stuff in the pipeline. It's just I'm so busy with my Twitch side of stuff and with my with schooling too, so it's very hard to find time to do YouTube because I got up super early this morning to like work on stuff and take my cat to the vet, and I fell asleep at my desk trying to work on my Digital Devil Saga video.
Okay. Quick little like sort of like jumping back to like Strikers Forum. Outside of like your like review for it, so you mentioned you had played other Dynasty Warriors stuff for it before. Were you like wanting more sort of like challenge on normal without having to like change it, or like I'm trying to like kind of like nail it in terms of like your complaint of like, so was the complaint not that it was like too easy or too hard, of like it had all of these options but you could have basically just spammed your way through and you kind of like felt that was the complaint, or like where are you kind of sitting at in terms of gameplay wasn't bad or good, but definitely like left. I feel like the way you talk about it is like you don't necessarily hate the gameplay, but there were things missing that you kind of wanted to be either changed or tweaked.
I would have definitely made the game a little more difficult and use more of like, I know like there's the harder modes for that, but like normal mode should be like the standard, like this is probably gonna piss a lot of people off, should be like the standard Nocturne mode. Like normal should be standard Nocturne, and what a lot of it has to deal with, like I didn't use, like I said before, I wasn't using debuffs. Like basically you could go, oh, I could just freeze the enemy and then do technical damage and just win that way, or spam their weakness, or put Sekikaja on your character and or just use Yusuke and just break through enemy shields really fast. Like, I get it. Like, I do get it. Like, there's harder modes to be like that, but like the normal mode should be harder, in my opinion.
One of like actually my favorite things about Striker's difficulty for myself is I love that like for the first time in a long time with a lot of Atlus games, I feel like this is the first time a normal mode actually felt like a good normal mode for like just about everybody. Of like, it's like Strikers has been one of the few games where I don't hear people's complaint be, "Oh my god, I never died," which I feel like I've heard for so many Atlus games, and I kind of appreciate like that way for it. I will say also on the opposite end of like talking about as someone who's played hard and merciless, like the way that changes, like it is really like jumping into a whole nother game for it, and it's really nice because one of the few problems, well, personally few problems I've ever had is like a lot of Koei Tecmo games, specifically Omega Force, when they do hard, their way of balancing is just you have bad health, enemy has hard hits. And thankfully they didn't really do that with Strikers, and they actually did balance it a lot better. Probably due to the fact that there's a lot more like RPG elements than instead of just equipment and staff and stuff like that. But it is one of those things of Strikers is in one of those weird camps of like, I would never, like, even if someone thinks they're really, really fucking ready for it, I would never tell someone to start on anything like over normal for their first playthrough. I think like it would immediately just be like,
I always tell people, do the hardest difficulty, you pussy.
well, like you like literally one of my favorite parts was like LaRue was streaming it, I think like launch day or something for the digital deluxe version, and he was doing it on the hardest difficulty mode, and it was like, oh dude, this is baby town, like this, I can't die at all in this game. And then as soon as he got out of the tutorial sewer, it was just to be like death, and it was just because like, yeah, like you can do it, but like your knowledge set's not going to be there like in your first playthrough.
Which is fair. Yeah, it's understandable. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just very stickler of trying harder difficulties unless the game like does that thing where it brick walls you to like you can do the hard difficulty, but you're not going to get through this fight without dumbing it down.
As someone who's so opinionated on difficulty, I'd love to know what you think of the merciful mode they're adding in Nocturne HD.
Don't like it. Don't like it. Don't put the merciful mode on. That is literally there for Persona fans that can't play games and don't know how to use mechanics.
So, like, you say that, but, like, what's really frustrating, I got, like, accused of gatekeeping. Like, I appreciate this person actually, like, watched my video complaining about Nocturne, but they, like, took my point of complaining about merciful mode as gatekeeping, and what really sucks about that is, like, obviously, you can take whatever opinion on it you want. My problem with merciful mode isn't that it's there. My problem with merciful mode is it's designed for someone who's not going to enjoy the game. Like, literally, it fails at making it accessible in a fun way of, like, merciful mode shouldn't be baby's auto mode, like, go on and do that. Like, the big thing that kind of disappoints me in merciful mode is there's no balance. Like, if there was still a balance of, hey, you could still die in merciful mode if you're not careful, it just lowers your chances of that. Like, I welcome making a game easier if it's properly balanced and not just lowest common denominator, like actually low bar, stuff like that. So, like, it was just really disappointing of, like, especially because, like, they're, like, I mean, obviously it's free, but they are selling merciful mode as, like, a new feature for fans. Like, it is easily one of the worst new additions to Nocturne HD. It's like, no one is going to enjoy playing on merciful unless you're trying to just grind.
Yeah, or if you're just like, yeah, I just wanted to get through the story, but but what, like, people are not going to pay attention to the story because they're like, wait, you know, they're not going to explain everything every 5 seconds to me. Oh, I don't want to play this game.
Mirth in the chat brings up a great point. Merciful mode is for the games journalists. I love that people are assuming any games journalist people are going to properly cover Nocturne HD. I'm so ready for all of the terrible first take. Like, literally, I saw someone in games media, and as someone who comes from games media, this also, like, hurts, but also it's like, hey, whatever, you're doing it to yourself. Like, someone was literally like, all right, guys, don't be scared off. It can be kind of hard, but it's a great Persona game at its heart. And I'm like, oh my god, you hear what you sound like, right?
Oh, the Midnight Channel said, apparently I'm lower than you.
You are lower than me. That's very rare. I mean, I'm always, like, really, really loud. But hey, that's fine. We can bump you up.
Well, and I have a really soft, little low, subtle voice, so, like, I have my shit cranked up, so...
You're good. I can make you louder, no problem. But, Also, we just don't respect the Midnight Channel's opinions on here. So until other people complain,
It's okay. I do actively bully him for being a strikers defender, and I make it my sole mission in life to make sure that I bully him for that.
Well, that's very nice of you to think that anyone besides me could be the world's largest strikers fan. Because like, what's really funny about it is like, I put this challenge out there. I dare anyone out there to say that they have been a bigger and longer advocate for that game than me, because like when like the over 500-day drought of Atlus never announcing that game, it was literally just a constant thing for me in my brain of like, you're stupid for not announcing this game. Say what you will about the game, but one of my biggest things was I cannot believe it took them over 500 days to announce this for the West. And it was just one of those things of like, it is just the most boneheaded thing ever. But hey, I mean, complaining about Atlus West PR strategy is like, it's like saying water is wet at this point. So it's not like it's that hot to take.
I don't know. It's just very, we'll see how it is. We'll just see. Hopefully when Nocturne comes out in May, that it fixes a lot of the issues that are with the game. If it doesn't, then then we should know exactly what's going to happen when that's going to lead to my next point, is when they remaster games or remake games and they do a really shitty job of them, just like in Catherine Full Body.
I really want to talk to you about Catherine, but no, I do want to get into a technical aspect of Nocturne. So as I assume, I saw you have a PS5 controller. I assume you primarily play PC though.
Yeah, no, actually I just have a PS5 controller because I did have a PS5, but I sold it to my friend because at the time I was like, I can't justify this purchase. And then once more money started coming in, I'm like, I could have justified this purchase if I would have just waited, but it's all good. I can just wait until the next round comes in, and then I'll just buy one.
That's a good controller, though.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. It feels really nice in my hand because as a girl, I have really big man hands, and it sucks because like my entire body, I am like 120 pounds, and I'm 5'11". Everything else on me is tiny except for my hand.
So going into the Nocturne thing, and I plan on doing a video about this, and also I just feel like nobody's talked about this, but also goes into like who's really talking about Nocturne that much. I love that nobody's been talking about this, but the console version is no matter what technical kind of aspects it has at launch, the console version is actually going to have less content than the PC one for the foreseeable future, unless they kind of change anything. And what's really crazy about this is I've been looking into it. So the PC version is like not the Japanese version, but like the Chinese and Korean version of Nocturne, where it comes with base original PS2 launch Nocturne, so no Raito, no Dante, and you can pick between either of the three if you get their DLCs. So Raito will be free DLC on Steam in the West, and Dante you'll have to buy, but there's no way to play that launch version on the English Switch or PS4 version, and it's just like, obviously super nitpicky and one of those things, but it's like, if you're already like having a hard time selling this game to people, why not just make that like version have all three, or at least able to have all three from the get-go? Like, obviously the amount of people who will want to play launch PS2 Nocturne is very, very low, but like, I think that's cool because like, we've only ever played in the West the Dante version. We've never played the version with Raito, and we've never played that launch version. That launch version is very different. There are endings missing, there are whole sections missing. Like, for like at least historical preservation, it'd be really, really cool to have a officially licensed English version. And like, people just don't know it because they all just kind of think, oh well, whatever, console's going to be the same as PC. But like, the whole reason behind that separation is because this way it'll allow Atlus to make one PC version for the world, and if they don't want to give Raito away to certain regions, or if they're worried it might be problematic, they can just put the DLC away.
Yeah.
So like, how do you feel about that? Obviously, you're going to be playing the PC version for that, but like, that's one of the things I've not heard a lot of people talk about. Obviously, because it's not being Atlus isn't going to advertise, "Hey guys, we're selling you less content." But like, how do you feel about that in terms of like a general fan perspective?
Well, okay. Are you just like why it's DLC and it's not just in the game?
No, I mean, that's its own argument, that's own super bullshit. I'm talking about the only place to play the original launch version will be PC, and they're not even going to, like, literally there will be no extra like, at the time right now, Nocturne HD, the version that's out in Japan, that has been submitted to Sony and Nintendo as of this month, and there will be no other updates unless something catastrophic happens. There's no more internal Atlus. There is no further patches planned besides what will probably just be the broken PC version, and then they're going to do what they did with Strikers and not announce that they made a updated beta, and God forbid they ever talk about patching their games.
Well, then that's what we get, and we can't we can complain about it all we want, but honestly, what's that going to do at the end of the day? There's still people who are going to buy it, and there's still people who are going to boycott it, but the people who are going to boycott it are not going to outweigh the people who are going to buy it.
I love that, like, I hadn't even thought of, like, really making a tangible difference by people who are boycotting it. Like, literally, I just think the overwhelming mass of people will just kind of ignore it, because, like, I also think, like, I don't know, like, whatever your general, like, game tastes are for it, but I think May is a terrible month to release this. I think April would have been a lot better. May seems so busy to me with, like, things like Deathloop, Resident Evil 8, and a big one, obviously they're very different games, but, like, just from a value proposition, compare selling someone Mass Effect Trilogy Collection for $60 compared to a PS2 HD remaster for $50.
Yeah. Well, honestly, at the same time, when I first saw that the release date for Nocturne in Japanese and pretty much the Eastern audience was going to be not November, October, I honestly thought it was going to drop the same time that Royal did. So I was like, okay, yeah, it's going to drop end of March, and it didn't. And it was kind of a mistake because personally, when we weren't getting a release date, I was just like, okay, so they're probably going to try to patch everything out. But the patches they were releasing, because again, my good friend Filthy Blasphemer, he's great. He showed me. You were just like I was like watching a stream with the Nocturne stuff, and he was showing me stuff, and it was just like none of the stuff was fixed. Like this last patch didn't fix anything.
The like and the gall of them to like they announced that they did a patch and literally have not done a single like patch note on it, or at least like the other two they were kind of like, hey, here's a couple things fixed and then miscellaneous. This one they were literally like, we did something, but God bless you. It's up to you to find out.
Yeah. Hold on one second. Give me 1 second.
No problem. Chat. Yeah, just a quick heads up because we haven't talked about this on the show, but yeah, if you are playing on PC with Strikers, there is a beta patch. So basically, if you opt into a beta on Steam, you can have a potentially better version, but I have known nobody to actually use that beta yet because it's been so poorly advertised. Atlus has made one comment on Twitter about it, and actually, no, they may have done two. And then they made one post on the Steam page, but there's nothing on the website, nothing officially kind of commented out there. So if you have the PC version, if you have the PC version, check out the beta if you want. Let me know what you think. I can't be bothered to play PC games, apparently, because I'm a slow child who still plays their PlayStation Vita every day. Chat, thanks for coming on. You guys are being really active. We're at 59. We gotta bump that up by 10, but this is a fantastic chat. Thank you, Demi Crow. Also, I'm gonna scroll up because I missed it when we were in the heat of conversation, but Peter Parker said, I have never played Nocturne and would love to experience it, but I'm gonna wait for a sale on Steam. Guys, this game is gonna go on sale so fast. Like, I don't want to, like, sabotage this game in any means. Like, it's gonna do what it's gonna do, but guys, like, if you want to wait even... No, you're good. I was just telling people, if you want to wait for Nocturne HD, that thing is going to jump down in price so fast. Do not feel bad about waiting.
Yeah, you can wait, honestly. You can just wait. Like, I think the only thing that would be worth picking it up early is to, like, have Raito and Goto instead of, Dante, but at the same time, who really cares? I don't.
Just because I think you've said Filthy's name at least like 9,000 times already in the chat. Six says, will Filthy ever be on the show? Unfortunately, I have tried. I don't got the Filthy connections. He gave me the hard no Filthy on the SMTN network yet. If you guys want to guilt him, the invite has been put out there, so he's able to come on whenever he wants. Also, because now that you're back, we were talking about the Strikers patch. Claire, have you tried have you tried there's a beta patch. So not officially out yet, but a beta patch. Have you tried that yet?
No. When did that patch come out?
Literally over a week ago, and they haven't they advertised it twice and once on the Steam, like, updates page.
automatically updated when I wasn't paying attention, then no.
No, it's like an opt-in, like a pre-flight thing. You got to jump through so many hoops to do it, and it's like, for a beta, you guys are probably
it should just be released at that point, because if I have to deal with a game randomly crashing when I'm trying to play the fucking game that I spent money on, and if it just crashes, bad game, bad fucking game. Holy shit. It just crashed on me out of nowhere. Like, I was 3-4 hours in without saving, and I didn't experience a single crash. And as soon as I like tab out or I hit the start menu, game crashes. God damn it. Port your games better. Holy shit.
If you ever get on any tirade for your review, you should just, like, as a perfect comedy ender, you should just end it by saying the worst $10 I've ever spent.
Yeah.
I would just really sing it home of, like, I love how mad you are at this game you literally spent the price of, like, a lunch for.
Oh, I could really give a shit what people say to me if my opinion does not line up with theirs. They can do whatever they can say and do whatever they want, and if their opinion doesn't line up with mine and they get really pissy about it.
Bro, who are these people who will defend the PC port? I don't know. Like, even people who don't have crashes,
anyone
like,
who defend Strikers in general, you need to go to a fucking mental institution. I'm being dead serious. Strikers is a bad game. If you like Strikers, I'm so sorry.
Well, it's a good thing I don't like Strikers. I love Strikers. I love Strikers so much. It's a great game. So I have 3 steelbooks for it. I definitely don't have a problem. But great little suggestion, chat. I'm curious, how do you feel about the kind of related news? It's sort of like related to everybody, but this is like kind of so weird and like not surprising news out there, but how did you feel about the rumor as of right now the PlayStation 3, Vita, and PSP stores are going to be shutting down? Did that have like any reaction to you in terms of like, oh shit, I gotta get stuff, or like nothing at all?
I usually buy games digitally, and every game that I have and I want to own I have it. So like Persona 4 Golden, I have a copy on Vita. I have a PSTV. There's really no games that really play on the store. If you don't want to spend, $300 to play Eternal Punishment and get a physical copy, yeah, sure, use the PS3 store to buy some copies. But like for games like DDS, buy the physical. And if you have a backwards compatible PS3, use that.
Oh, but be careful, guys. There's a lot of bad backwards compatible PS3s. If it's not a 60 gig, don't even try it. Those 80 and 20 gigs are just like, they're ticking time bombs.
I never had an issue. I had 120 gig and I never had an issue with the backwards compatibility at all.
I am not trying to call you out, but I'm 99% sure there is not a single 120 gig backwards compatible one, unless you had some.
Oh, wait, I was thinking about the other ones. That's my bad. Thank you for calling me out.
No, you're good. I have way too much experience with backwards compatible PS2s, and I was very.
I was thinking about the 4 USB one. That's my bad. Thank you for calling me out on that.
No, you're. Stupid. Oh man, if only that one, because like that one is such like.
Thinking about the 4 USB, that's the physical backwards compatibility one.
That's what like I used to like. I miss like it having that little slot that then they sealed off eventually, of like having all the expandable memory. Like literally no one used it, but it was like such a like man, something about like the PS3, like it was like peak 2006. I'm gonna work with everything in as convoluted of a way as possible.
Yeah. No, it's just like the one thing that I don't like about Sony or just like PlayStation in general is after like the new models of the PS3, they stop backwards compatibility, and I feel like that's kind of like that's kind of stupid, because the one thing good about Microsoft and with the Xbox is they make sure most of their games are backwards compatible, which is really, really nice, because like it's a good feeling. And on top of that, like Microsoft has better business practices than Sony, and it sucks that I had to give Sony my money to play these exclusives that I want to play. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say.
It's a tough one, because it left me in a lot of weird spots, because a lot of people, I think, looked at this news of those stores shutting down like, oh my god, what about X game or Y game, or like, oh, I need to pick up this and things like that. But what's really funny is like, for me, I'm a like still active Vita like buyer. Like I literally, there are still new games coming out physically for the system I'm still picking up. So for me, this really hit in a weird spot of like, as someone who like collects them physically and still is following the new games that are still in development in 2021, now we're in this weird situation of, oh shit, like in something people haven't even talked about a lot, Sony is actually, as of like 2 or 3 weeks ago, Sony won't even let you send games to the PlayStation Store. They'll let you submit games like for whatever, but they won't publish them anymore, and they just won't say why. So now we're in this weird situation where there are games printed physically that will just never see a official digital release because Sony just kind of gave up on the store. And so a lot of these games that have physical ones are like 1,000 to 2,000 if you're lucky. So it's just going to make like physical collecting a lot harder, digital preservation a lot harder. Like I have a handful of games that like never got released digitally, and if you're not one of those people who bought like those small limited like print runs for, like, yeah, not everyone's going to care about all these games for it, but like there are some like really cool and like unique kind of games out there that are just like, yeah, if you're not one of the 1,000 people who have this, you're just kind of screwed forever. And also, I know we dogged on it like kind of earlier. Like I defend specifically the Vita versions, but I'm kind of sad that like people keep mentioning like, oh my gosh, guys, before the store closes, pick up all the Atlus games on PS2, PSP, and whatever. And like I've heard nobody talk about Persona 3 and 5 Dancing, because those are digital only in the West.
Bad game. Wait, 3 and 5 and on the Vita?
Yeah, 3 and 5.
Okay.
3 and 5 only got a physical release in Asia, and hilariously,
bad games. It was a cash grab. It
was
a dead ass cash grab.
But that's not the reason they were digital only.
Why were they digital only?
Okay, thank you.
Care to enlighten me?
I would love to, because I have the biggest like sassy bitch. I will never let you live this down moment with Atlus. So Atlus in 2018 announced it at E3. They're like, hey guys, it's coming out. This was when they said it was going to come out early 2019. This was before they bumped it up to December, because spoilers, the game was done. They just didn't want to release it. And they were like, hey, it's too late. We can't submit it to Sony. We can only do digital on Vita. It's going to have to be physical only on PS4. What they actually meant was, we don't want to put it out physically on Vita, so we're just going to do PS4. The problem with that was the entire fan base who was even willing to play those games, for the most part, like people who are excited about those games and have nostalgia for those games, started because of P4D on Vita, because it was an exclusive. And there's a lot of rhythm game fans who just love rhythm games, so like no matter the quality, on Vita, and they'd like having those games physically. So they just kind of sent it to die by saying, oh, Sony won't let us in the West, as literally publishers were putting games out for the next like 9 months physically. Like Sony was letting like publishers in the West make physical games all the way up until 2019. So Atlus like just lied to everybody's face, and I asked them like so many times, like, you could do this, you could partner with people, you could sell it on your store, you could do it. They are like, say what you will about the quality of the games, but if Atlus printed like 3,000 copies of P3D and 5,000 copies of P5D, they would all sell. There's not a single person in the fan base who would disagree.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. It's just Atlus is lazy.
Yep. It was a fun time. It's like and I mean, hey, if I'm gonna be petty, it's gonna be about the most on brand Spencer things ever. It's like them lying to us about P3 and 5 Dancing, and for whatever reason, I will never let this off my shoulder. Like people at Atlus to this day still tell me, no, we released a steelbook for Catherine Full Body. No, that is a very bad generic metal case. I will never hear otherwise. That case is very bad. And you should be a little ashamed.
Mine caved in. Mine's caved in.
Obviously, good luck to you on eBay or wherever you buy your things. There is a steelbook out there from Japan. It's fucking beautiful. Check it out if you want. But I'm sorry, everybody. Daddy Atlus has lied to you. Also, just because we're talking about stores closing and no one ever brings this up besides me, don't forget to download Caligula Effect on Vita. It's a good game. Don't let the crowds lie to you. Claire, I'm assuming you've never touched a second of Caligula.
Nope.
As a now becoming fan of Persona 1 and 2's writing, does it being by the same writer and composer do anything for you?
Sorry, what?
The writing team and the music team behind P1 and 2 actually are behind Caligula 1 and 2. Does that do anything for you at all?
Yeah, the soundtracks in P1 and 2 are fantastic.
Cannot recommend enough.
Except for the PSP version for Revelation Persona.
Well, I was trying to tiptoe around that. I had a feeling. It's okay. It's a divisive soundtrack, to say the least.
Divisive? You mean bad?
I respect what it was doing. I like them both for their own little things of what they're doing. You know. But I guess before we kind of move off of the like backstreet, if you had like one or two things to kind of recommend people if the stores do close, what's like a digital thing that may not be easily or cheaply available physically to kind of recommend that people should get before it's too late legally?
Legend of Dragoon, released in 2000 by Sony Entertainment. Buy that game 100%.
That's a great
game. Legend of Dragoon. That is one of the best JRPGs I've ever played in my life.
Can you believe, like, we're in a world where Sony, at any point, could just, like, make a sequel to that, and, like, it would be great. I don't know who would make it, but, like...
a sequel. If they remade the game, like, since we're in the age of remasters and remakes, if they remade the game, I'd buy that in a heartbeat. If there's a collector's edition, it was $500, I'd buy it in a heartbeat.
I didn't know I was going to be bonding with you on Legend of Dragoon tonight, so I've got to ask, were you oh no. POC, Legend of Dragoon is not terrible. That is a bad take.
Get the fuck out of here. You can't time editions. You probably suck with
That's a bad take, my dude. We don't diss the Dragoon here. But no, I have to say, have you did you like see how far they were getting to actually adding in Legend of Dragoon to PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale?
Yeah. Dart was going to be a DLC, got scrapped.
Those last two characters who got scrapped are like the most peak me PS1 possible, because it was Dart from Legend of Dragoon and it was Abe from Oddworld, and I fucking love those games. Also, let's just put that into perspective. Both of these are very classic franchises that were at their peak probably during the PlayStation 1 era. How is it that... And remember, I love the Oddworld games, so no clout to them. How is it that Oddworld is still a thing getting PlayStation 5 games, remakes, and sequels, and Legend of Dragoon just got one and done and never again? What's going on?
It's because it didn't sell well in Japan. It sold like 4 times as much in the US than it did in Japan. That's why they're probably hesitant about it, because they were going to do a sequel to it, but they scrapped it because they thought it wouldn't make that much money, but it's really popular in the West. Like, it's vastly more popular in the West than it is in Japan.
So I've got to ask then, did you play it like when it first came out initially, or how did you discover it?
I played it when it first initially came out. My friend brought it over when it launched, and I played 10 hours of it, and I begged my parents for a copy for a month, and then until they finally gave it to me. I replayed that game at least once a month. Not once a month, once a year. My bad. I replay that game once a year.
Demikuro, I'm gonna make a bet right now that will probably never come to fruition. If there is ever a PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale 2, which God I hope there is, I guarantee I guarantee you Jack Bros would be in it. That would be such an easy character for them to get in. Like, Atlus would probably pay Sony to be put in Jack Bros. I guarantee you. And then everyone on the internet would make fun of it because, lol, they could get they only got Jack Bros and they couldn't get Joker. Like, that would be the baby brain reaction to that. While all the real fans would freak out of imagine take Pokemon Trainer from Smash Bros, put him in PlayStation All Stars and just make it all three Jack Bros. People would love that. That would just be universally an amazing character. Also, I did hear what you said about PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale, and I'll move on. I won't be that hurt, I promise. It's really funny. I feel like you have Claire, I feel like you have two moods. I need to find a game you're neutral on, because everything you've talked about is either I love it or I despise it. We need to find your neutral games. What are the games you're you know what, Harvest Moon? Come or go. I could go either way.
I played one Harvest Moon game and I didn't really like it too much.
Okay.
I like Animal Crossing. I think Animal Crossing is boring. Game that I'm neutral on.
POC, you're kind of winning me back. I don't think Beyond the Beyond is better, but I do appreciate someone in the year 2021 remembering Beyond the Beyond.
I'm trying to think of what would be a good neutral. Huh.
The Tales games. How about that?
Enjoy Doom a lot. I would say the game that I'd probably I'm neutral on would be Fortnite's the best game ever made. Don't quote. Actually, do quote tweet me on that. Fortnite's great. Anyways,
have you made that tweet though? That's the real quote. We can't just say quote. We need to have you actually tweet out Fortnite is great. And this is coming
Okay.
from someone, because like I don't ever understand when people are like, man, we got a dog on Fortnite. Like when the like Joker thing was going around on Twitter a couple days ago, I'm like, guys, this is just like a fun like bullshit around game. Like literally, like I the complaints I can have against Fortnite are so minor. Like it's just a fun hang out with my friends and dress up in dumb costumes game.
I'm trying.
13 Sentinels. Do you have any opinions on 13 Sentinels?
I have the game. Have not played it yet. I did again watch my good friend Fifthly Blasphemer play a good chunk of it, and from what I saw, I really enjoy it.
That's one of those weird ones of like, I can't imagine watching that being fun, but I also hate the idea of watching people play games I would like to play. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I picked it up on Black Friday. I have a giant backlog of stuff that I haven't played yet because there's so much I have to play and catch up on. So that's like on the back burner for a while. I got to see the game that I'm probably the most neutral with that I would play again with friends would probably Borderlands 3. I was talking about this earlier today. I beat it once, did not touch DLC. I was kind of like, I'd play it again if my friends want to play.
That's a great like turn your brain off, play with friends co-op game though. That's a really good like I went through like a weird like fever dream the year Borderlands 3 came out. That was 2019. I said, you know what? Forget having free time with my life. So I decided to literally play and platinum and get all the achievements on everything from Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2 on Vita, Borderlands 2 on PS4. Same with the remaster of 1, pre-sequel. Oh, Jesus, fuck that platinum.
I love the pre-sequel.
No, pre-sequel, great game. Very bad trophy list. Tales of the Borderlands, which by the way is out now officially digitally. Everyone out there, even if you don't like Borderlands, please play Tales from the Borderlands. That is an amazing game.
If you have not played Tales from the Borderlands, it is so
that
good.
literally just came out the day. Well, I guess yesterday now as of this recording. Like is now on Switch, so it's like everywhere now.
It's really good. Tales from the Borderlands is a fantastic game.
One of the few times where Troy Baker is just the Troy Baker voice and I let it slide. There's a lot of times where like I have a weird history of enjoying Troy Baker as a voice actor specifically and hating him almost always when he is just told to be Troy Baker.
Oh, Troy Baker's good. Troy Baker's a good voice actor.
That was like the one, if I had to like have any real complaint with 3, it did a good job of like referencing almost every game, but man, it really sucked that Tales of the Borderland had like no real merit on the story, and replacing Troy with, I think it was Ray Chase. It was one of those ones of just kind of like, would have been nice if they got him.
It'd be like that sometimes.
But yeah, boy, Borderlands, and we're hitting all of the, I don't even know how we got here, topics for it, but as I've been playing on a definitely legally distinct volume level through this whole stream, Claire, how much of that there SMT concert last week did you watch?
Don't even get me started on that. So, here's what happened. I want a refund for that concert, by the way. So, I stayed up for almost 24 goddamn hours. Because I was like, oh, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. And I watched the entire concert. And while some of them, they didn't play some track, they picked some all right tracks. I wish they would have picked some different ones that I would have really enjoyed. And
like,
the only thing
like
I
different as in different games, or different as in different from Nocturne? Like, sorry, different tracks in Nocturne.
I would have preferred if they would have done Town Battle and if they would have done the Lucifer theme for the final fight. But at the same time, all I could think about was where Ram Rider got those shoes, because I've been thinking about that all fucking week, where he got those shoes, and I've been trying to track them down and I can't find them.
So, like, I'm assuming you're a rational thinking human being and did not expect a trailer or news at this video game concert. Trailer. You expected a trailer?
Yeah, I expected a trailer.
Okay, you're gonna need. I don't want to put a lot of people on the court trial here. You're gonna have to explain that one. That one I'm gonna need an explanation for.
Because they've been used, because they were showing a Nocturne concert, so I was expecting some sort of SMT5 news?
No way, Jose. Literally, like, and this is what I told Maka online when like he's one of the few people I've really had to like put it, because I've been just telling everybody as soon as this concert got announced, you are not getting a second of footage or anything or update on this game. And what was so funny is everyone was like, but they announced it at a concert. They announced it at a concert. They have to do it at the next concert. And it was like, remember, the thing no one wants to talk about, you remember how they announced it, and sorry, they showed the trailer at the concert. They announced before the concert it was going to be there. Because think about this. To be fair, I will also say, Atlus West promoting this for the first time definitely gave people way too much hype for no reason. But I don't know why I was like the only person kind of rationally thinking, okay, if you're trying to make as much money from this digital concert as possible, think about how many more millions of dollars they would have made if they said everyone who comes will get a new trailer for SMT5. Even if it was 5 seconds long, why not announce that beforehand, and then everyone would have come and given them $30?
Well, the thing is, sorry, my brain's like farting. I've had a long day. Sorry, repeat that again. I'm so sorry.
No, the whole thing behind it is basically, the whole thing behind it is like, if they were going to have news, there's nothing stopping them from saying, hey guys, the trailer's going to be here, now give us your money. They just kept telling people, hey, give us your money. Like, if they, like, think of how much more money they would have had if they said there was going to be a trailer.
Oh yeah, it would have been a lot more money. There was one other person who did say that there wasn't going to be a trailer. My good friend Spider, she said she's like, there's going to be no trailer. You guys are staying up for nothing. I personally didn't believe her, but now, from now on, I will always come to Spider for life-making decision advice, 100%.
Thank you, Spider. I'm glad I'm not the only one out there. But in terms of no footage, though, and the kind of complaints with it, was it just like the songs that there were like if you actually had a chance, like if there was actually a refund my concert I didn't like it button, do you think you would have actually pressed it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Interesting. Okay. See, I didn't buy it because I knew it was going to be so readily available.
It's just not the fact that they didn't show me SMT5. It's more so like they didn't pick tracks that really resonated with me too much. Like the SMT4 track, the battle thing they picked was A2. Yeah, that's a good track. They could have done like B4. They could have done a plethora of other things. They could have instead of, I don't know why they picked the worst Apocalypse song out of the entire thing to put it in the show, but hey, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I did really like when they played Ginza from SMT1. That's a really good song, so I'm really glad they did that one. But some of the tracks they picked, they could have picked better ones. The band was good. They just could have picked other tracks. Like, I want to hear Kagutsuchi 1 and 2. Those are tracks I didn't really like.
So, the weird thing about this concert was, like, clearly the whole point of the concert was just to promote Nocturne HD, but it seems like it, like, came out at a terrible time. Like, nobody in Japan is going to look at that concert and then go, oh my god, I gotta buy it.
No one in Japan gives a fuck about SMT3 Remaster anymore. No one gives a shit.
Well, yeah, because, like, it's all sold its copy, like, over, like, 6 months ago, but then, like, the other thing about it that's weird is, like, this concert is 2 months before anyone in the West gets it, so why would they care, too?
Yeah. And like, why advertise it? Like, I don't know why they did the Japanese concert, and like they should have done it more towards the American time, because they could have just, I'm pretty sure there's pre-recorded all of this, so they could have just,
oh yeah, it was literally filmed over a month ago.
Yeah, they could have since it's pre-recorded, they could have shown it at an actual American time for us to watch it, and not make me stay up until butt fuck in the morning to watch this concert, get disappointed, go to bed angry, and then have to go play Strikers and be even more angry.
I mean, it definitely sucks, but, like, I've done a lot of those, like, stay up, because, like, I'll never forget the, like, 40-hour, like, I stayed up for, like, 40 hours for that, like, first P5 trailer reveal way back in, like, I think, like, 2015 or something. And it was one of those funny things of, like, man, they so rarely ever, like, nail it in terms of making it worth you staying up for god-awful hours. But, like, the other thing with it is, like, it was at least fun because at that time I was staying up for something kind of live and it was free, you know? Like you normally are like, okay, I'm either paying for it to be convenient or I'm staying up in ungodly hours because it's free. Having it be ungodly and you paid for it was kind of a double-edged fuck you. And like, I mean, I get it. The only reason this one was paid and virtually available was because literally they couldn't have people at a concert because Japan was in a lockdown.
Yeah. And honestly, well, I'm not. We're not going to talk about what's going on in the world right now because I don't want you to get demonetized or anything.
Oh, that's very, very kind of you to assume I would make more than like $5 from this, if even 5 cents.
Saying, like, I understand. Like on Twitch, it's whatever's clever. Like I can pretty much say whatever I want.
You can say whatever you want on the stream. I promise. You can say whatever slander, truths, whatever you want.
It's just with how like the U.S. is handling everything compared to the rest of the world. It's dumb, but that's a whole like stupid thing. That's a whole political thing that I don't want to get into right now. So, you know, it shouldn't be. It should just be the country should just be hard locked down for 3 to 5 months, and then after that, make sure everyone's vaccinated and everyone who wants to get vaccinated, make sure the levels are low. Because at this point, COVID's just going to be at the point of being a common cold. So. Yeah, that's what my opinion is. I just think everyone should just wear masks or stay inside unless you have to go outside for necessities. Stay inside, wear a mask. Don't complain about wearing a mask that you can't breathe. It's stupid. Wear a mask. Don't be a smart human being, please, for the love of God.
Very, very astute point for it. Any other final last concert thoughts as someone who actually paid hard-earned money for it?
I would say that they could have picked better tracks, and if they were going to do this concert, they could at least shown something else than Nocturne. Like, yeah, cool. We already knew it was coming out. Like, we already knew a day before the concert happened that Nocturne was getting released in May. So at that point, okay, it's very kind of like, why have the concert, or why have us all stay up for this concert when there's nothing really shown? Like, cool, like the Demi-Theme bus. Cool, it's probably gonna be $3,000 that I can't afford. So
I love they like announced the perfect trifecta of doesn't do anything for me, and this is coming from as like a huge Nocturne fan and a huge music lover. They announced a CD of the concert I'm now listening to for free on YouTube. They announced jewelry, which I am never going to buy, but hey, it's cool that it exists. They announced a life-size bust that, of course, I'm never going to buy that thing, but hey, I'm sure it'll look cool on pictures. It was just one of those things of like.
Demi Plus is like $800. I'll buy it.
I mean, listen, hey man, live your life. Spend money on whatever you want. If people want to buy it, they don't want to buy it. It's sort of those things of like, there was nothing announced. Like, I will never forget the moment I was like, stayed up for like, I was on day 2 of no sleep, and they announced that Persona 4 Dancing All Night Vita system. I literally like thought I was gonna die. I thought that was like the coolest thing ever announced, and like I did not go to sleep until I had like tracked down a pre-order for it. It was just one of those things I was like, that's like so peak me, like, oh my god, I wanted that, and I like still love it at the time. That it was like, that's something that I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I wasn't there for when that was announced. Whereas like a life-size bust, some jewelry, and a CD, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, it's very yeah, they could. I think they're just trolling us at this point. If we're going to hear anything about SMT5 anytime soon, it's just going to get delayed. Or we're going to probably hear something towards in, like, maybe the summertime with, like, E3 maybe, but we'll see.
Now, I know you mentioned you do a lot of primarily, like, digital collecting, but you have mentioned you have a couple things, like, physical. Did you have any, like, surprise, takeaway, or disappointment when you saw that literally the only physical options available for Nocturne are going to be a Blu-ray disc or a Switch cart with nothing else?
Yeah, that's why I imported a Japanese copy of the collector's edition.
Now,
paid $50 for it.
Now, if we're talking about hot takes, I gotta say, I do not love that collector's edition. Like, everything about that felt very cheapy to me. Like, I did not...
Yeah, cheapy, but, like, I am the girl who spent $40 on that fan gamer shirt that sucks, that like it's complete. Say if I wore that shirt and I was directly exposed to sunlight and I wasn't wearing a bra, you could see my titties. That shit is so see-through.
So it sucks because it's see-through, but like, where there is it also like it's just like bad because like obviously
it's a $40 t-shirt. Like I can buy a better t-shirt for that for like $5.
Also, weird little thing, just because I know people might get excited about either the see-through part or the fact that he said t-shirt. It is a long-sleeve t-shirt, which has been one of the things that's actually kept me away from winning, because I very rarely enjoy wearing long-sleeve shirts.
Well, I wear long sleeve shirts because I'm skinny and cold all the time, so
Whatever the opposite of that, that's my current state of being constantly. Not skinny and not cold.
That's fair.
So, like, that's really funny, though. You're, like, the first person I've actually heard who, like, didn't like the Nocturne shirt. Everyone else I know has been, like, surprisingly into it, but I've also not picked it up myself to find out. Do you buy much stuff from Fangamer?
No, that was the first thing I've ever bought from Fangamer.
I actually really like their shirts, but all the shirts I have of theirs are really, like, thick and have a nice, like, ink press quality to it. Like, it doesn't feel like that, like, cheap kind of, like, ironed-on, like, thick material thing for it, but I've never bought any of their long sleeves.
Sorry, excuse me.
That's a good transition. Do not worry. So, I think because we've already gone for an hour and almost 20 minutes, let's try and wrap up and do some questions. Do you have energy for that?
Yeah, no, I'm perfectly fine.
Okay. Also, sadly, the first question is not this, but I have to just put it out there. When are you gonna play Fortnite? I want to say soon, but God, I gotta get that Strikers review going. Being out with a broken back does not help me play either of those games quickly. Claire, when are you next playing Fortnite? That's the real question. When are you streaming Fortnite?
Probably when I get off of here.
All right. Next,
because I should be working on these videos, but like, I'm just gonna decompress.
Fortnite's calling. I understand. What is your? While I'm pulling up questions, I'm genuinely curious with this. Thoughts on the new season? I'm not gonna lie. Didn't do it.
New season.
Didn't
it's
do
like
anything
the
for me.
guns are bad. Like, cool, the Laura Croft skin, but it just looks like some white bitch with her hair.
As someone who literally grinded like 2 days before the last season ended to like, I went from level 30 to level 100 in like 2 nights just because I wanted that Baby Yoda backpack. I was really digging it, but the whole time I was playing, I was like, please let the next season pass suck. Like, do whatever you want to the game, just don't let anything in the season pass do anything for me. And it was perfect. It was like, I don't hate the season pass. I'm sure people like a thing or two in there, whether it be Raven or Lara Croft, but I was so glad that I was like, okay, good. Now I can just play the game stress free. I can just play it and not have to worry about the battle pass, which is such a fun way to play that game.
I bought the battle pass.
It's okay.
I was like, fuck it, $8.
It's not see, that's the thing. It's not the money. It's the pressure to finish it by the season that gets me.
Yeah, I think at the end of last season I got to level 90 because I just wasn't playing as much, so it'd just be like that sometimes.
Oh, Molten Skyrim, don't tempt me. Jack Frost back bling. Literally, Persona and SMT will come. Like, motherfucker, people. The next SMT game is being made in the same fucking engine as Fortnite. Are you telling me there will not be a crossover? You are high if you don't think there will not be SMT and Persona in Fortnite at some point. 100%. Would you like to bet yay or nay?
Don't put SMT in Fortnite, please.
It's gonna be in there. It's going to be in there.
Please, God, no, please.
It's gonna be in there.
Separate. Keep them, because this is what's gonna happen. This is exactly what's gonna happen. You put goddamn SMT in Fortnite, and then we got even more 12-year-olds that call me a grandma, fucking screaming at me. Yeah, no, fuck no. Do not put SMT in Fortnite because I'm tired of dealing with children. 100%. I'm way over dealing with children in this goddamn community. Holy shit. Every single one of them, besides my boy Shimo, who's in chat right now, is the only one that hasn't pissed me off yet.
Why am I not seeing this person
Shout
you're
out to
talking
Shimo.
about? What is... Oh, here we go. Shimo just got cut off. That's why I was like, how am I not seeing this name? Well, speaking of names that you are not seeing, our first question comes from Twitter, and also a person who frequents the YouTubes. Kieran A. Buckley says, why do you think Atlus West is pricing Nocturne so high, and do you think this will negatively affect sales?
Personally, the reason why they're probably selling it for as high is because, honestly, I think they just want extra money. That's just my opinion. You do have to pay staff, so it makes sense why the game is $50 to $70. I do understand why they made Rido and Dante DLCs because they have to pay those voice actors. So it makes sense why that's payable DLC. And I don't think it will negatively affect sales. People are still going to buy it regardless.
Now, for you, before the news kind of came out, where were you at? Because for me, I was if I'm living in A, the perfect world, and B, where I think would have been the most financially, like, what would have basically been a win-win, like, price-wise without losing too much money, I think the 30 for normal game and 40 with the Dante DLC, I think that would have been, like, the two-hit combo.
I mean, I just buy games. I don't usually complain about the price.
No. This is not a complaint about the price. This is before last week. What did you think it was going to go for?
Oh, like $30 to $40.
Okay, yeah. Because, like, that's one of the funny things, especially after, like, my video, which, like, I'm, again, very amazed how many people have, A, watched it, and B, are so very passionate about price, A, mattering or not mattering. It's, like, very funny of, like, there is a very different conversation between complaining about price and saying what something should be priced at. Because, listen, at the end of the day, I'm fucking buying it day one. There's no, there's no way I talk to...
Like, PS5 games are going to be $70 going from here out, so, like, complain all you want, you're probably still going to buy it. I'll complain about the price all I want. I don't agree that it should be it's $50 or $70. I'll still buy it. Like, what we're gonna do? We're gonna bitch and complain until Atlus changes it?
No, you're gonna get it for $10 again. I got a feeling. I got a good feeling about this one. You're gonna get it for 10.
Well, I mean, if I get it on Steam, then I just have to trade more stuff into my work. But yeah.
Next question comes from Madigan, who says, "Any advice for a fellow Mega Tennis looking to make SMT3 HD their first mainline game?"
Learn the mechanics of the game. Don't go into thinking that's going to be Persona where you can just like, oh, I can just hit someone with a resistant or anything like that and still win. No, you're going to really have to learn how to learn mechanics.
I would say for this being your first one, and I know Madigan has actually played other SMT games before, not just like Persona. I would say try to like not go into this thinking it's going to play anything similar to 4 or Apocalypse. It's definitely its own beast. It's going to be a lot slower, and don't think about that slowness of the pace of like to its detriment. It's definitely one of those things of like just ease your way into it. If you die, you die. There are enough ways for you to save in there. Obviously, quick save isn't going to like kind of fix that with the way it just boots you to the menu. But it's just going to be one of those games of, I promise it is not as memeably hard as everyone on the internet makes you think. If you take your time and actually like learn the systems, it is very fair and very understandable.
Yeah. After you learn the mechanics of any game, like the game is easy, in my opinion. Like, yeah, I struggle with Nocturne a little bit, but that was my own mistakes. It wasn't the game. The game was punishing me for making a mistake. There are some times where I made a mistake and I got away with it scot-free.
This is an interesting one. I'd be curious what you think. This is from Persona Forever. Part of that question I wanted to kind of pick out and ask you, why do you think, what do you think some of the struggles are with SMT in terms of gaining more popularity? And for this one, I guess let's just specifically be referring to like the Western fandom.
Okay, like literally, I have this dumb fucking conversation or this dumb question I deal with, either if it be on my Twitch channel or if it's just some random motherfucker that just like thinks Persona 5 is the Lord and Savior of this generation, where this game is like literally put on a pedestal. I don't honestly, just because a game sells well doesn't mean it's good. Like, this is what I'm gonna say. It doesn't mean it's good. Yeah, sure, Persona 5 is one of the best-selling game in Atlus' history. Doesn't mean it's good. Doesn't mean it overshadows anything. It doesn't mean that SMT needs to gain popularity. Like, yeah, sure, there's good people who are like, okay, I played Persona 5, and then they do their research like, oh shit, this is actually an SMT spinoff. Let me check out these SMT games. There are two types of people. The people who are like, oh, these SMT games, I understand why Persona comes from this, because the stories are really good, and it's not as like slice of life and cringe anime shit. And then there's people who are like, oh, I'm not going to play SMT because it's so edgy and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, you're so stupid. Anyways, none of that rant. I don't think SMT needs to take anything from Persona. I'm pretty sure that's what you're asking. SMT doesn't needs to take anything from Persona. SMT just stay the way that it is. Because if SMT starts taking things from Persona, soon we're gonna be having stuff like Apocalypse, where we're gonna have fucking stupid, creepy pedo stuff and social links in mainline SMT games. Which, if I'm playing SMT, I don't want to deal with that. If I want to play Persona, I'll go play Persona to experience that. I don't want that in SMT.
Next question, definitely a lot less deep one, and one that people probably get all the time, but do you have, and this is from Melonic Max, it says, do you have any personal favorite demon designs?
Parvati, Ashura, Sati. I love a lot of the girl demons.
Just like from like a design
I love
aspect,
women.
the lore, or like which one? Like which one and why?
The lore on top of the design. On top of that.
Okay. Do you have like and this wasn't part of the question, but like, do you have a preferred artist? I definitely appreciate a lot of what the different artists do for like different aspects for it. But like, do you have like one over the other that you're kind of like, oh, I'm like one more than the other, or like, how do you like kind of put the artist comparing?
I see the differences. Like, I do like Kaneko's work a lot. I don't know. It just depends on how they're done. If I'm being honest.
I at least thankfully. I was trying to think of it. I was going to say that I've never had a game. I was going to say that I've never had a game where I looked at the
Mara
art.
too. I love Mara's design. I love Mara. I'm gonna buy that $600 Mara figure, 100%.
I was going to say like, oh, I've never had a game like with the art style like turned me off of it, but I don't think I will ever in my lifetime be able to not look at Strange Journey Redux and go, yeah, this is a worse looking game. It's just like it's not fair. It's not fair at all. There are probably a lot of things that went into the behind the scenes of it, but just the way that adapted the original art style, it is just such a no. I can't undo this. Here we go. Devil Moon on Twitter says, with the trend of Atlus having digital pre-order bonuses, such as playing the game 4 days early, do you think SMT5 will be the next game to do this? And do you think that there will be a physical collector's edition of SMT5 since P5S and Nocturne HD did not? So I'm going to let you go first because I actually have a lot to say about these two.
Okay, so if we're going to see a collector's edition, if we're lucky, here's what's going to happen. We're probably going to get a watered-down collection, but then again, SMT5 is going to be an international release, so everyone's going to get it at once.
I mean, aren't all of the... Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, well, they're all international releases in the sense of we all
like,
get them.
it's going to be a simultaneously worldwide release is what I meant to say. My bad. So it's going to be a simultaneous worldwide release. If they cuck us like they usually do, and we get a watered-down collector's edition, then... that's on us because we got that with P5 Royal. We got like the take your whatever the fuck that edition's called. I have it behind me. Dumb fucking edition, having to pay $90 for this collector's edition, and on top of having to pay $60 for day one DLC. Don't get me into that right now. But if we do get one, I hope it's gonna be the same identical one to one that's gonna be in Japan, because I don't have to pay extra money to import another collector's edition that is different from the one that we're getting. So we're probably going to get a collector's edition. If not, what my personal opinion is, we're probably going to get a SMT5 Switch on top of that. That's just my opinion. You don't have to listen to me. But that, and what was the other part of the question? I'm sorry.
The other one is with the digital pre-order, like 4-day early thing, do you expect that to also loop into...
It could happen. It's not just a trend with Atlus. It's a trend with a lot of other places too.
Oh, but so dude, okay, obviously, go ahead, have your opinion. Dude, this is so like 5 years ago publisher things. Nobody does this anymore. Nobody does the pre-order and get it 5 days early thing. Like, literally, Atlus is following trends from like 5 years ago. That's like half the reason I hate the digital early thing.
Well, it's just like it's starting to happen again, especially with like how COVID is. The reason why I think publishers push if you get like the deluxe edition, or if you pre-order it, the deluxe edition, or you pre-order this edition and get it 5 days early, is because they're trying to jumpstart sales, so they're able to bring more money into the company.
So I've got a couple of weird things to sort of get into with this one. So the first thing I want to kind of say is there will not be a digital early get it edition. And this kind of goes into, like, the reasoning why is also part of the collector's edition answer. So, because Nintendo is so heavily involved in this, there's no way Nintendo would ever do that. Nintendo would never in a million years be like, hey, do you want to play Mario, like, 4 days early? Come give us, like, 10 extra... Never. Nintendo would never do an early thing like that. Number two, though, with collector's editions... in recent trends, there's a reason why the last two Atlus games have not had collector's editions. Literally, P5S was just delayed internally for so many stupid BS reasons. Not even like COVID-related stuff. They literally, like, they wish they could... Like, when the voice actors were out there, like, saying, oh my god, guys, like, we had to, like, do the voice acting at home and all this other stuff. Like, guess what? the voice acting should not be the last thing you do in production. And like, for whatever reason, that's how it always is with Atlus. But like, they just had a whole bunch of other stupid politics things going on. But the whole thing with P5S pushed back a bajillion times, and they just didn't have time for it. Like, they had plans, that's why you see things like the pen and the steelbook, but that was its own whole mess. Nocturne has no pre-order bonuses in the West, no physical bonuses in the West. They have no steelbook. They got nothing. You're lucky. You're gonna open the game and there'll be a lint ball that shoots in your face and maybe gives you anthrax. That's the best thing you're gonna get out of a physical copy. So Nocturne has nothing because they know this game is going to be an uphill battle. They are charging the most at launch to get as much out of you as possible by giving you as little as possible, along with all this other DLC, to try and make back what they know is going to be a hard game to sell. Because you want to know what Atlus is not talking about since they've announced this game? They're not talking to press, they're not answering questions from people about other updates and patches, because they know everything they have to say about this game is not going to make this look better in the end. It's like they're fighting a losing battle, and they're just hoping they can give you enough nostalgia that they can break even. And the project was so cheap, like they already have in Japan, they're just basically trying to weather the storm in America, and they're just going to ignore people until they stop complaining about how broken the game is technically. Like, the thing that's like really depressing about that is kind of like what I tweeted earlier today. Like, when Atlus did that, like, hey, we're getting ready for a Nocturne weekend, give us your Atlus faithful hashtags, we'll retweet them all weekend. There were thousands of people who did amazing pictures, collections, artwork, contributions. Atlus literally did the bare minimum, if you even want to call it that, and over 3 days retweeted 9 people and liked nothing. Like, what a F you to your fan base of, like, this was literally just, like, stop talking about the game leaking. The game's leaking all over the place. Stop leaking our game that doesn't, like, that's already, like, going to have a trouble, like, doing stuff. Like, they're just, like, stepping on themselves so much and giving their fans, whether intentionally or not, an F you. It's just one of those things that suck. And I mean, like, looking in chat of Haruhi saying, Nocturne HD, I'm buying. There is nothing wrong if you're one of those people, but there are so many of those people out there, and Atlus knows it, that they know that they don't have to sell Nocturne to you. They know they can just say, it's Nocturne on current platforms, you'll give us money now. Those conversations and complaints will come after launch, but guess what? We'll have already given them their money, and that's all they really care about. But, I know, big tangent, Collector's Edition, why will they get one? Nintendo, it will 100% make a Collector's Edition happen. They will be different from Japan and America. That's just, like, Nintendo's really weird. Like, even America and Europe get different CEs. But Nintendo 1000% will make a CE happen. I think a special edition Switch is possible, especially after 4 and the nostalgia going into this, and the hype behind 5 is all really, really big. The only tribulation is we're at this weird point of whenever the hell SMT5 does release, they're going to be at this weird point of like, oh shit, like, should we do a Pro? Should we do a Lite? Should we do a normal? Like, because another weird one of like, weird kind of conspiracy theory thing I've been throwing out that no one really talks about with 5. I'm in this sense of like, yeah, I'm pretty sure 5 is going to have so many technical problems that there is a chance it might, the only version playable in a comfortable and fun way will be on the Pro. And I would not be surprised if like they want to keep that news as far off from listeners' eyes as possible. So like it's going to be like, there's so many factors going into it of like, it's possible, it's probably going to be beautiful, there's no way it comes out in the States. If it does, please God prove me wrong. Like, but we've literally only ever gotten one Atlus system over here, and that was because GameStop paid for it with Persona Q.
Yeah.
Super long explanation, but those are two things I'm like way too stupidly passionate about.
Sorry, I got distracted. Ram Rider finally responded to my tweet asking where he got those shoes. So
did you find out?
Yeah, see, he, my friend, shoutouts to Sao. She tagged him in Japanese, and the only thing that was stopping him from replying to it was that I did not tag his name in Japanese. He just liked my tweet.
Okay. Question kind of going into something I rambled about, so I'm going to throw this only over to you. Rover says, what are some of your predictions with SMT5? So this could either be like a, what do you think it's going to do? What do you want it to do? Like, stuff like that.
I want it to be good.
No, come on. Like, don't get the safe answers. You got like think like an actual thing of like whether you want it or think they'll do.
I hope to God they don't fucking take any notes from Persona and do that. I really hope they don't do that. I really hope that the game is actually good. Like it's really, really good. I hope it doesn't, because SMT4 is great. Apocalypse is where it starts falling. So as long as it doesn't follow any of the tracks of like the tropes that were in Apocalypse, I'll be happy.
Final question for the night comes from Matt the Wob. Says, do you have faith that Atlus will port any of their games if the PlayStation Store shutdown is to be believed, such as things like DDS and all the other stuff they were talking about? I'd be curious, like, what you think of not only would Atlus port any of those games now that they'll be less accessible if the store gets shut down, but how do you kind of see that like working, or how do you want them to like port those to more systems?
I hope that if they're gonna port them, they're not lazy ass ports and they're not shitty and terrible, and that as long as it's an actual viable port that isn't bad, I will be fine.
Just curious, what's your experience with like all the other Atlus like PC ports, like Catherine Classic, P4G?
Catherine, fucking, it's a great. All right, Catherine was a really good port, except whenever I'm trying to fucking game capture it, game crashes. You had to do it in window capture. They never patched that, which is dumb.
Did you play it at launch, by the way? Because there was actually a lot of like weird little bugs like that at launch,
No,
like,
I didn't
even
play it
more
at
so.
launch.
It was way weird. Like there were things of like you had like I remember at like launch you had to play it at like 720p windowed without it like crashing after 10 minutes. It had so many little weird issues, but like that's just one of those like things. And they patched it like really fast, like because that was like a Western team who ported it, but it was just one of those funny things of like looking at how fast and how many times they patched Catherine by comparison of almost anything else, like. Because I think P4G has only been patched like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So like, how did you feel? How did you feel about Golden on PC?
I did not play the PC port of Persona 4 Golden because I'm not going to torture myself because I'm somewhat of a sane person not to play that game more than once. So, yeah, I did not pick up this. I did not pick up the P4 Golden on PC because I'm sane and P4 bad. P4 is a terrible game.
I'm just so ready for whatever happens with Nocturne, because like the funniest thing about it is compared to all their other companies they've farmed out their ports to, like the third-party ones, the team who did Nocturne is the largest in size, and their version has like the most bugs and riddled problems.
Okay, I'm gonna totally go off topic, but like if you're still using Fraps as like a recording software, are you fucking insane? Who uses Fraps to record game footage anymore?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know like what Fraps is besides using it
like
to
this
record.
Really old, like OG like game capturing software. Like you would see it like on old like game video.
You're right. It'd be that thing of like I'd say like in the corner on the bottom. It'd be like
on the top on the corner of it. It's like dodgy ass fucking like game capturing software. It was the first of its time, so everyone used it.
Oh, okay. Pi didn't use Fraps for recording. Pi used it for the frame rate counter.
Oh,
Okay.
frame rate counter, yeah.
Understandable then, because that's like the weird thing of like I know Fraps for like different weird edge case uses, but I never hear anyone actually like no one talks about Fraps really.
Yeah, no, Fraps is dead in the water now that you got OBS.
That's funny. Okay, yeah. So like going on to the whole thing though, like it's because when I did a video talking about all the teams who worked on it, it's basically all of these super cheap, super tiny teams in Japan and Europe working on their ports to other systems, and the only one that was made by a larger company with Nocturne. I would love to know like how like the people at, like if anyone even at Atlus Japan like cares at all. It's just so funny of like a port that is not perfect, but not a lot of people talk about. Catherine Full Body on Switch is a port that nobody asked for, but actually was done by like 8 people. I think like literally it's single digit numbers of people. Like a really tiny team ported it. And they're really, really proud of it. Like, they did a great job. They basically, like, built it from the ground up, like, bringing that engine and made, like, an interesting hybrid version of it. It's not quite the Vita version, and it's, like, not quite the PS4 version, but its own, like, little unique beast. And besides some frame rate things, it's a good port. But no one talks about it, because that's how you know when a port's good. Like, people aren't shitting on P4G's port all the time, and people aren't shitting on Catherine Full Body on Switch, because when it's bad, it's very rarely bad. But the only thing you ever hear people talk about Nocturne when it comes to the port is like, yeah, but like all these lag issues and all these frame rate issues. It's like, again, it's 2021 and this is a PlayStation 2 game having technical problems for a $50 price tag. Like this, God bless this game. I'm going to be covering the hell out of it for the next 2 months, but Jesus, it's got an uphill battle.
Yeah, it just be like that sometimes. It's a lazy port. Like all these ports are like super like lazy and baby. They're just like, yeah, let's make some extra cash.
I will say, I don't know if you, like, paid much attention to, like, how much money it made. I was amazed at how well it actually sold in Japan. Not because I don't think SMT games don't sell well in Japan, like, they do. There's a big fandom there. But, like, because of, like, the reception, it was really funny of, like, it sold super well at launch, and then you never saw it in the charts again. And I bet you that's going to be not, like, the same in the West, but it's going to be that case of people are going to be super hyped up for it at launch, and then you're only going to hear everybody dog on it as soon as it's out.
It's just sometimes it just be like that. And I don't know. Personally, I'm just like, these ports are lazy. These ports and HD remasters by Atlus are really lazy.
I would love for them to, like, actually spend, like, a good amount of money. Not do them in-house, because God forbid they ever touch their own games anymore. But, like, there are so many great port houses. Like, there are so many amazing and probably way too expensive because Atlus is a broke company. Like, there are so many companies, like, I wish they would give stuff to. Like, even super, like, baby stuff. Like, nothing would make me more happy than if they just ported, like, SMT by M2. If M2 could port SMT to modern consoles, I would, like, be the happiest fanboy all year.
That's fair.
Oh my
That's
god.
fair.
Why Sega Europe? That's such a weirdly specific thing. Like, Paisley was like, I hope Sega Europe will ever handle Atlus, but why? The only thing Sega Europe does is PC games. They do good PC games, but Sega Europe literally does sim games and PC games. Like, that's all Sega Europe does. Blue Point, oh my god. I wish. Like, what's like one...
Atlus can't afford Blue Point. Are you serious?
No,
or Blueprint?
Not at all. No, they can't...
Is it a Blueprint, not Blue Point?
No, it's Blue Point. It's Blue Point. I am a... Oh, boy. If I could simp for game devs, it'd be Blue Point. I have loved them ever since... Hey! Speaking of PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, they made that Vita version. That's a great port, Blue Point. I'm glad we brought this all full circle. Everybody, thank you for joining us for this somehow hour and 40-plus minute long podcast. Claire, thank you for joining me and saying it be like that so many times. I might...
That's my catchphrase.
Is that real?
Be like that sometimes, and bussy. Those are my catchphrases.
It bussy like that sometimes, I guess. That's just a really, really cursed thing for it. Well, hey, people have started to realize I'm playing Evangelion music in the background, so that means we definitely got to go. But hey, where can people find you online if they missed the intro?
Do you just want me to drop my stuff in chat?
No. People listen to this on iTunes. They don't know what chat is.
Okay, so... yeah, you can find me at twitter.com/SgtClaireBear. You can find me on Twitch at SgtClaireBear, all Sergeant completely spelled out. You can find me on YouTube on Claire. There's too many Claire channels, like someone pointed out in the thing. Go into type youtube.com/SgtClaireBear, fully spelled out. That's where you can find me.
Real quick, what is the origin of ClaireBear? Like, how did ClaireBear achieve the rank of sergeant?
It originally started as an inside joke between a group of friends. I can't explain it because no one would get it, and it was an inside group, mostly aimed at my friend Nyx because I was just making fun of her at the time, and we had this random bet that like you should just make that your content creator name, and I did, and it's going pretty well, so I just ran with it.
Awesome.
But I just prefer people just to call me Claire because saying Sergeant ClaireBear all out at once to get my attention is kind of like redundant. So like on YouTube, it's Claire because I'm just like, yeah, it's just Claire. Like there's no one else named Claire that does SMT content. Like just me.
That was a call out. That was a call out to all Claires listening. See if anyone has the stones to challenge you on that. Well, if you enjoyed listening to this episode, people, whether you are listening to this for the first time or the 210th time, you can find us on iTunes by searching Shin Megami Tensei Network or Persona. We will come up there, new episodes every week. If you would like, you can follow on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you download your shows. Reviews and sharing super helps. You can also check out the video version of the podcast on YouTube where we record this live, just by searching Shin Megami Tensei Network or Spencer Presley. All the show notes for where to find us will be below. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Torchwood4SP. The podcast is at SMT Network. Besides that, super big shout-outs to all of the amazing patrons who have donated. If you would like to donate and help keep this show going in some financial way, you can go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/SMTN. That is too much plugging. It is almost 1 o'clock here. I've desperately got to go to bed. But Claire, thank you so much for watching this. And
Thank you for having me on.
yeah, it was fantastic. And we're now going to do our awkward goodbye, where we don't actually say goodbye, but just everyone listening to the recorded version will think we said goodbye. So goodbye.
Bye.
All right, and then we say goodbye to all the stream people. Thank you for coming to the live chat. I don't know how we kept you all. I was thinking that this would just be like a single-digit viewer chat, but I'm glad the international people were able to enjoy and bring everyone in here. So thank you all.
Yeah, that's my bad for being late.
No, hey man, we kept it going. So hey, thank you all for coming in here. POC, Super Gamer Guy, Pi Studio, Shimo, Abid, Killamo, Jack Frost, everyone I'm gonna forget. Peter Parker for all the super chats. Reed. Everybody, Harvey, Susan, Mia, you're all beautiful. Thank you so much. Goodbye, stream. I'm pressing the end stream button. My voice is going away.